Hello out there, and I've got a knife mod video for you today, and I am filming outside and trying to get that natural light here, but it is ridiculously hot, so I will probably make this about as brief as I can. I think it's like 95 degrees right now. Florida's awesome. But yeah, usually with a knife mod video, I'll try to wait till I have 2 or 3 mods to share before I do a video and start talking about them. But this knife is special for one particular reason that I haven't really told anyone yet. But if you've been following the channel for a while and are familiar with my issues with the CRKT prowess, this knife right here, the Windage, is what replaced that. So I had a couple prowess knives that didn't lock up right, and I had not really the best experience with that model, and I had to ship it back to CRKT, you know, on my own dime a couple times. And eventually we just gave up, and I decided to get a replacement model. And this is the one that I chose. And the Windage, a Ken Onion design, so I had that appeal right off the bat for me, but it is a little bit larger than most of the knives that I would gravitate towards. But I wanted to check out the design, and I figured I already had money invested, so why not go with this as my free knife, or my replacement knife. Let me tell you right now, when I unboxed the knife, I didn't like it. I didn't like it one bit, and I didn't like it even more because of all of the effort that I'd gone through in order to get it. You know, it's just a frustrating experience. And then to come out the other side with a knife that I just wasn't all that thrilled with, yeah, just left a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth. And what I didn't like about it was I just didn't like the details. The fit and finish just wasn't great. The jimping was just like decorative. It was a joke, to be honest with you. For a knife that sells in like the $50 price point, I was just, you know, it was just there, like they shouldn't have even had it at all kind of thing. And I know these are aluminum handles, but just because of the rest of the weight of the knife and the way it's balanced, it just felt plasticky and cheap, and the actions felt plasticky and cheap, and I just didn't like the knife. And so this is one of those mods that I did out of necessity to try to make myself like the knife more. So we'll just talk briefly about the ano. So I took the whole knife apart. What I do have to say, and I'll actually show you some of the internals here, this knife disassembled was one of the biggest, and I'm not going to say an F-bomb, but one of the biggest clusters that I've ever come across taking apart a knife. I mean, the amount of different internal screws, and I mean washers for the pocket clip. I mean, just a lot of a lot of extra pieces, a lot more than you would want on a knife. And so it wasn't really easy to disassemble, definitely wasn't easy to put back together, but it did come back together pretty well, so there's all that. But yeah, just a little bit of an oddity there. But what I did with these mods is, you can see like a purplish on part of the backspacer here, and then on the thumb studs for the clip, and then I just tried to bronze everything else. You know, bronze the hardware, bronze the pivot, bronze the screws. The clip came out really nice, and then yeah, I did the whole liners as well, so just give it that little bit of a flare. And I thought that would work with the etch that I was going to go for, and I thought it would contrast really nicely with the color of these scales. Yeah, what I have to say is that the scales, regardless of how they felt just first impression, how I didn't care for them, the scales are an excellent color. It's like this deep, like blue-gray. I'm a big fan of that. I'm certainly a big fan of it more with an etched blade. Now, the thing that I didn't really like about the blade on this knife, and you can see it still needs to be resharpened, needs to get that edge back. The thing I didn't like about the blade was that jimping. I mean, the jimping, it was there, you could see it, but it was just visual and aesthetic and really gave you no purchasing grip. And one thing I like about etching a knife is that the finish that's left on there does provide a little bit of traction. It's usually not like slick, you know, just an acid stonewash surface is not going to be slick the way maybe like a satin finish would be. And so what I decided to do was I decided to get rid of that and just make a thumb depression. And that worked. I mean, if we can get this up close, you can see it's not even close to perfect. I mean, you can see just a little bit of inconsistency in the line here. but for functional reasons, it's a big improvement over what that jimping was. And then while I was at it, I thought, you know, with how long this blade is, I might as well give myself a forward choil. And the thing I like about the choil is it's not one that you have to use. You still have plenty of blade if you keep it in the regular position, but it's functional. You can choke up, you have plenty of room, and dig into that thumb depression. And it actually makes this, for me, I think, a better knife overall. And you can see plenty of real estate when you're choked up, so just a really comfortable knife now, even for someone who might have larger hands. So yeah, I'm pretty jazzed about this aspect of the mod. Now the acid etch, you know, I'm sort of sticking with what I've been working on and trying to do lately, and that's this, you know, this like speckled kind of pattern. And this one came out a little bit different because I stonewashed. When I stonewashed the knife first, I stonewashed it with brass, and I have these like brass hooks and brass keys, and it just makes for a little bit of a unpredictable kind of finish. So these lines here are just points where, you know, the keys, or like the screw parts from the hooks, are just impacting the knife. And I don't know, I like that. Makes it a little bit different. But then I just did that speckled pattern with the Dremel tool, sort of becoming one of my identifying marks. So there are worse things. Yeah. And yeah, I really think that's about it. One other thing I want to say about the etch, though, is that the first time that I etched this knife, for whatever reason, I don't know if I did it badly or something, but it was just, there was just a stain. You know, it was just a stain of unevenness, and I thought that I'd be able to cover it up with the stonewash, and it didn't work. And so I etched it again, and still had an inconsistency, and I thought that I was going to have to come up with some other kind of way to make this blade work. And I etched it one more time, and it came out like perfect. So go figure. So you know, and people say don't leave stuff in the etchant too long. You know, this probably spent about 2 hours in the etchant, and you know, everything was nail polished just right, so it came out, it locks up just fine. I mean, there's no functional issue with it because of that. So don't worry, you know, have your solution. Practice, experiment, but yeah, leaving it in there a little bit too long, it's not going to make that big of a difference. You can see it doesn't quite center all that well, but it didn't from factory, so I'm not really too worried about it. Alright guys, so yeah, just wanted to share that with you. I will say that I do like this model a whole lot more now. I will probably start carrying this, or maybe I'll give it away to someone or sell it or something. But this is definitely a knife that I would use now, and before it wasn't. So I think when you're talking about a mod, a functional mod, for me, this is my favorite kind, just because it actually makes the knife perform better, or makes you like it more and more prone to carrying it. Alright guys, so that's all for this knife. Thanks very much for watching. Any questions, comments, complaints, suggestions, you know where to reach me. A lot more stuff coming soon. Going to get back to some reviews relatively soon. Alright, so stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching, and take care. Have a good one.